What's up, guys, and welcome to Blues and Stripes. So obviously have a very big game coming up tomorrow against Aston Villa, but I did want to talk a little bit more about the Arsenal match, because clearly I didn't do a full review for that. But outside of that, there were also some talking points that I did want to address and give my own thoughts on as well. So first and foremost, we'll talk about the referee, because that's something I didn't really have time to talk about, and frankly, I don't feel like it's that big to talk about either. I mean, yes, the referee was awful. Yes, there were a lot of fouls in the box we could have gotten penalties for, or Arsenal should have had some goals called back for. Yeah, there's a lot of that, but there always is. Honestly, I look at the Leeds match and I look at the Burnley match, and the handball for Leeds, the penalty that Palmer should have gotten for the guy going studs up to the back of his ankle, those two are, for me, a lot more egregious, because what happened to the Arsenal match is stuff that we've seen happening all season. And unfortunately, the fact is, they're not going to call it. They haven't been calling it all season. They're not going to start calling it now, unless it's something egregious, like somebody's shirt getting tugged off their back. Unfortunately, we're just not going to see that. The handball, yes, should have been a handball, but also we scored off that next corner, so that's not that big of a deal. And then João Pedro getting punched in the head arguably should have been a penalty as well, but Raya did get enough of contact on the ball where I don't expect that to be given. And then as far as Neto, him not knowing he had a yellow card, I highly doubt that. I watched the clip back myself when he got his first yellow, because they didn't show it on TV. He should be able to see out of his peripheral that the ref is holding a card at him. Now, I don't know what he said to earn it. We haven't gotten all of that, but I'm assuming there was some dissent. And I will also say the amount of yellows that we've gotten for dissent, or, Enzo got one for slamming the ball. It's a lot of petulant yellows like that. That stuff needs to get cut out as well. I didn't talk a lot about that, but outside of the fact that we're getting these silly red cards now for players going into a stupid challenge on a yellow card, those petulant yellows that we're getting because we're acting like children, throwing the ball around, screaming at the referee, that needs to get cut out as well. So I know there's been a lot of talk about that. I'll be interested to see if anything comes of it. For a senior, it's something that he definitely needs to make a change, and he even said so himself. He knows it's something that happened with Maresca, and now it's happening with him, so we'll see. We'll see if they do something about it. I personally think severe punishment. Like I said, maybe fining them, maybe benching them. I don't know what it's going to take. But find a way to get through to these players and make them understand that that can't happen. They can't be idiots like that, because it's costing us games now. But the other thing I did want to talk about is all the Sanchez hate that's coming out again because of this one match. I don't know what it is. It's very odd to me that Sanchez has had solid games all season long, and then the minute he has a bad game, the minute he does something that frustrates people, suddenly now he's an awful keeper. He's a liability. It happened in the first leg of the Carabao Cup where, yeah, he was awful. As a keeper, he was terrible. He was flapping at crosses. It wasn't good enough. Arguably, a lot of that is down to him trying to play a way that he's not comfortable with, and so it sapped his confidence, and so because of that, he didn't look as good in goal. But what I find weird is that in this game, he wasn't that bad as a keeper. Neither of the goals I thought he was culpable for. And yes, he could have done better, but so could the rest of the defense that wasn't defending either corner. So I don't understand why everybody's throwing the blame onto him when his problem was he nearly gave the ball away a few times. And arguably, it's not only on him. Something I didn't get a chance to talk about, but the first half was such a Maresca ball-like half. The possession was so slow. We're knocking it around slowly, taking slow touches. So I wasn't surprised at all when Sanchez started giving the ball away, because everybody was playing so slow. It was like we were in cruise control. And so Arsenal would just step up their press a little bit. Somebody would play kind of a slow pass to Sanchez's feet, and you could tell he wasn't quite comfortable with it. And so he's trying to take a touch to get it out from under his feet. He's also playing just as lackadaisical as everybody else. And so because he's not as good with the ball, he's going to make those mistakes. I don't know why the instruction was, hey, everybody, let's play as if we're just having a nice, comfortable, casual knock around. You just slide it side to side, take a couple of touches, pick your head up. You're going to have plenty of time to play. I don't know why we were playing that way. With the Burnley match, you could argue, well, they had a week off, so that's why they looked a little bit slower, maybe weren't fully focused. We didn't have a week off before Arsenal, as far as I can tell. He didn't send them on holiday again. So why did everybody still look like they were on holiday, even though that was 2 weeks ago now? But yeah, so Sanchez, I don't understand where everybody's getting that it was his fault that we lost the match. He wasn't great on the ball, but he never has been. I don't know why he was trying to play short again. I don't know why that was the instruction. And again, I don't know why the whole defense was playing as slow as humanly possible. But to say that Sanchez was the reason we lost, I don't understand that at all. Let's talk about the real reason we lost. So as I said in my short review, Bernardo Cueva has to go. He has to be gone as a set piece coach. And so something I decided to do just out of curiosity, I decided to look at this entire season. I could go back to when he was hired and go back that far, but I don't have that much time. And so my nerdy ass once again created a spreadsheet. So here's my spreadsheet for the season. As you can see, I have all the set pieces for us in this column, all the set pieces against us in this column, and then I have two more columns to show the score without the set pieces, if we just take those away, and how the points would have changed if we had not scored or conceded a set piece in that match. So a couple things to note. First of all, you see these light blue rows. These are all of our Champions League matches. These lighter green rows, those are all of our FA Cup or Carabao Cup matches. And I have a couple of boxes here highlighted. So the yellow boxes are the two instances where, yes, technically, if we take out all of the set pieces in both of these matches, this one, it doesn't change the score at all. We still would have lost to Villa 1-0. And then in this Arsenal match, the most recent one, if we take out all 3 set piece goals, obviously it helps us a little bit. We would have gotten a draw because no goals would have been scored. But the reason why I've highlighted these two is because in both of these matches, the set pieces that were scored to win the game. So basically, if you take out Aston Villa's set piece, that would have been a draw because they scored after we scored our set piece to tie it up. For Arsenal, they scored their set piece to win the game after we had equalized and made it 1-1. So these are the two instances where, yes, we scored a set piece as well. And so taking out ours does not affect the match much. But it's the fact that we gave up one to lose the match in these games. That's the frustration. And then the Newcastle one, the reason I put this in green is because all of these set pieces listed here are free kicks, corners, or throw-ins. This is the only one where it was specifically from a free kick and it went straight in. And the reason I put that in green is because I don't count that as much as far as a set piece coach talking point, because that's just you have a great free kick taker and James belted it. But that's not part of the set piece coach's job. He's not there to set up your free kick taker, putting it in the top corner or anything like that. That's the only instance where it happened. There was actually another one where Neto scored, I think it was against Cardiff, but it was rolled over to him and then he hits it. So it's a little bit different. There was a little bit of a setup there that the set piece coach might have had a hand in. So anyway, that's why I put it in a green box. I did want to, I guess, put a little asterisk and say, yes, it's a set piece, but I'm not really counting it as far as taking it out because the set piece coach is what I'm going to be talking about here, and he didn't really play a hand in that. But yeah, so anyway, I went through the entire highlights. I looked at them individually. I looked at every goal. There were a couple that it was kind of difficult because where the highlights started, it didn't seem like a set piece, but when I looked at how it was set up, like Newcastle's set piece goal, when you look at the Chelsea highlights, the goal itself doesn't look like a set piece, but the way it was set up, we had our back line set. It was a free kick from like nearly midfield, and they play it out wide, and then the ball goes in after. But so anything that I could tell was definitely from a set piece. It was a part of the set piece play. I included it in this list, and as you can see, I do have down here the total. So we've scored from 16, which is good. We've conceded 17, which is terrible. And because you're all probably asking that burning question, how many points have we picked up or lost because of set pieces? Well, down here's your answer, 9. We have lost 9 points because we've conceded from set pieces. You can see in most of these games where we did score a set piece, we're not getting points from set pieces. The only time that it's happened has been the draw against Arsenal the first time we faced them in the league, and then we picked up a win against Paphos by scoring a late corner. Every other time, we've dropped 2 points. We've dropped a point. We've dropped 2 points. We've dropped 2 points, 2 points, 1 point. You've got all of these games where we are dropping points specifically because we concede from a set piece. There are a couple instances, the Bournemouth match, 2-2, they scored both of theirs from set pieces, from throw-ins. Brentford, you'll remember, first time where it was a little shaky for Maresca because we concede a late set piece that takes away all 3 points at home against Brentford. Or actually, it might have been on the road. Sunderland, yes, they go on to score a late one to win it, but before that, they score a throw-in to equalize. I just realized it wasn't Cardiff, it was Charlton, I think, that Neto scored the free kick from. But anyway, with all that being said, you can clearly see Bernardo Cueva, he's done his job well as far as making us somewhat lethal from set pieces. You know, he scored some free kicks, scored from some corners. He does seem to be pretty good at getting us to score, but defensively, we're a joke. The amount of times we've conceded, not just from a corner or from a throw-in, conceded easily because everybody's standing around and watching. And a lot of it, I think, comes down to the way he wants to set us up on these set pieces. We're not really capable of doing that. We don't have the proper mentality out there to set up for these set pieces because it's so zonal. Typically our 3 tallest guys, Chalobah, Tosin, and then it kind of depends. Sometimes it's João Pedro, sometimes it's Delap. But you've got your tall guys in these 3 zones around the top of the 6 that are just there to try to be the big bodies. You have smaller guys like Santos, Gusto, Enzo, you have them tracking the big guys making the run in. And so you just have to trust that those smaller guys can somehow put off the big guys from making those runs effectively. And the bigger guys in your team are going to be effective at getting the ball out. And here are a couple problems with that. First of all, you have guys like Gusto who don't track the runners well. And so they get away from them and they have a free run into the box. And even if they are challenging somebody who is taller like a Tosin, if they've got a run up on it, they're going to be more effective at beating him in the air because they're not being challenged on the way in. I mean, we saw with Santos, he completely let Fleming run past him in the Burnley match, and so he was completely uncontested when he challenged Tosin in the air. Tosin is basically trying to jump from a standing start, and he's making that run in. It's always going to be Fleming that wins that battle. And that's the other problem on top of that is those guys that typically are in there, outside of, I would say, Chalobah, most of them do not do a good job of making sure they're turned on so they can be there first and they can time their jump well. I mean, I talked about it earlier this season. I can't remember what match it was now, but there were a few times, I think it might have been Tottenham actually, where Fofana completely mistimes his jump because he's just not good in the air. And it's funny, he's coming back to me now. He created two of Tottenham's best chances in the first half. The first one where he mistimed the jump, trapped it for Kolo Muani, I think, who had the best chance of the first half. And then another one where it's a throw-in, and he jumps under the ball, basically, and it falls right at, I think it was Bentancur's feet, who takes a bad touch so Caicedo can get it out. So that's supposed to be one of your guys who's good in the air, and he's just not good at reading the flight of the ball. Tosin's too immobile. He stands there and waits for it to come to him. So like I said, in the Burnley match, Fleming is beating him every time because he's standing and trying to jump. Fleming is on a run, and that's always going to give him more momentum to get there ahead of him. And so that's where I'm looking at it, and I think Cueva needs to see what he has here. And it's just not good enough to be able to do this, let's have a zonal with a couple of people tracking runs. And on top of that, we do need to clear out the box a little bit too. Because I think Sanchez is good in the air, but we saw against Arsenal, whenever there's 10 people around him, it's hard for any keeper. I mean, Raya as well. We did the same thing to Arsenal, and Raya was pretty much incapable of claiming or beating most players to the cross. From what I can remember, I think he only caught one and maybe punched one away, but the rest of the time it was dangerous for them because we crowded their keeper just like they were doing to us. So we got to find a way to clear that box out, and I think we saw in the one Arsenal match where we started putting players forward on the corner and they had to drop some players back to make sure somebody was on them so we couldn't hit them on the counter. I think that's a good way to go about it. Maybe it won't be effective every time, but definitely if you're going to be facing a team that you know is going to pack the box around your keeper and make it difficult for him to claim the ball, then get some players out of there. But we didn't do that against Arsenal, even though we've done it before. And that's where I look at Cueva and go, what are you doing? What is your job here? If you figured out this solution that's worked before, and then you go into this match and go, we're not going to do it this time. I just don't understand what the thought process is, or what he's even doing to try to make us more effective at defending corners. Because again, like I showed, it's clearly not working this season. We could be in third place, 3 points ahead of Man U and Villa, if we'd not conceded most of the set pieces that we have this season. So anyway, that's my rant done. Apologies that it took so long, but I just wanted to get it all out there. Looking at the Villa match, they are in a poor run of form, and it is on the road, and I think we do tend to play a little bit better away from home, so that might help us a bit, but we're going to have to come in fully ready for this match. We've got no Neto. Fofana will be back, probably will start as well. I think Sarr did fine against Arsenal, but I don't expect him to start above Fofana right now, since he's still sort of getting adjusted to this league. But as far as what my preference would be, obviously Sanchez in goal. That one game does not shake my confidence in him. I think he's still a good keeper, despite what everybody's saying. James at right back, of course. I honestly would kind of prefer it stick with Chalobah and Sarr, because I thought they did well for the most part against Arsenal outside of the set pieces, but I kind of expect Fofana will come back in alongside Chalobah. And then Hato on the left side, I think he did really well against Arsenal. He's one of the bright spots in that frustrating match. I think he handled his job very well. Saka only had a few moments of joy around him, and I just don't want to see Gusto over there, to be perfectly honest. And the midfield kind of expected to be Caicedo and Santos again. Wouldn't mind, though, if we got to see Caicedo and Lavia. I think Lavia came in, looked pretty energetic. I don't expect him to play much if he's going to play, because I know they're still managing his minutes, and I want them to. I want them to manage his time, because we don't want him to get injured again. Like, if he gets injured again, I think that's it for him. He has had so many injury problems over these past few years. I don't think he can survive another one. I don't think if he's out for a few more months, anybody will want to see him return, because it's just like, well, what do we have to be excited about anymore? So I really hope Rosinha and the medical staff, they do their jobs and make sure that he stays fit so that we can have him for the next few years, because having him in the midfield would be such a boost. If Santos has done well since Rosinha's come in and given him some more time, but Lavia just has a little bit more of the pace that I think we need in there in some of the matches. Going forward, it's going to be kind of interesting because there's no Gittins, there's no Esteval, there's no Neto. So it feels like we have a little bit of a lack of quality up top. I'm assuming it's probably going to be Enzo, Palmer, and Garnacho in behind João Pedro again. That's probably the best front four that we have at the moment. I guess you could make an argument that possibly Enzo, Palmer, and João Pedro in behind Delap might work. I don't really see much from Delap, but if he's at least a body in there that can cause some trouble and open up some space for the likes of Palmer and João Pedro to be creative, that could possibly work, but it's very much a toss-up. I don't really know what to expect from that, and I don't really know what our best front four would be without the likes of Neto or Estevao. I guess if I had to pick, I'd probably go with Garnacho on the left, Enzo maybe in the center, and then Palmer on the right with James overlapping him as kind of a wingback, because he's been doing that really well. And then João Pedro up top, of course. As far as what I hope and expect, I mean, I hope for a win. I'm expecting probably a draw, to be honest. The way we're playing right now, it feels like that lack of confidence is starting to set into the players. And even though Rosinger started very well, it feels like he's struggling to get that confidence instilled back in them. I mean, even Palmer, who had a couple of really good games, he's starting to look that version of himself that was lacking confidence earlier when he returned from his injury under Maresca. So we're going to have to change things quick. We're going to have to turn these results around quick. My confidence in Rosinger is waning a bit. These past 2 matches, he's not done particularly well in some of his decisions, but I'm definitely not going to be one of those fans that instantly writes him off just because of a couple of bad results. I didn't do it with Maresca. I didn't do it with Poch. Might have done it with Potter, but that's because I didn't understand his appointment in the first place. So we'll see what he can do, but until then, cue the outro. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching that video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe for more Chelsea previews, reviews, and talks. Also, let me know what your thoughts are down below, whether you agree, disagree, or just want to call me stupid. Let me know, we can talk about it, discuss all that good stuff. Also, if you want to hear me talk about TV shows and movies that I like, check out my channel Mason the Brock Henderson, where I upload reviews every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. As well as if you want to watch me play through video games and try to make it entertaining for you, I have a Let's Play channel, Meso Hendo Plays, where I upload every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. Also, if you do want to help me grow this channel, I do have a Patreon where all the funds and donations will go directly into improving this channel's quality. I hope you guys have a great day, and I will talk to y'all later. Peace out, and up the Chels.